The godfather of communism himself, Karl Marx, loved capitalism. Karl Marx loved capitalism the way a farmer loves a plow horse. The horse does all the work and then the farmer steps in and reaps the rewards. There's a major difference though. A farmer, being driven by efficiency and logic instead of ideology, will very likely keep his horse and treat it well, as long as it keeps doing a good job and producing results. And he may continue to treat it well substantially after that. Karl Marx would like to keep capitalists yoked to their plows and whipped on a daily basis just long enough to reap whatever rewards he deems sufficient, long before they have reached their full potential. And when that subjective and nebulous goal has been met, he would like to put a bullet, and not necessarily metaphorically, in the head of every capitalist, leaving his chosen philosophy free to live off the fruits of their labor. At least for a while. The idea that capitalism produces objectively superior results because it is an objectively superior philosophy never even occurs to people like Mr. Marx. Because you see, that would mean that employers and employees would be able to enter freely into negotiated contracts. And that would be, of course, the dreaded word, exploitation. But it's definitely not exploitation to put capitalists behind bars after their work is done. Anyway, here in the United States, when people get particularly angry about some political outcome, you will hear talk about secession from the Union. I'm going to make a little prediction here. If there ever is a serious secession movement here in the US, it will be like a state or states like Florida or Texas or South Carolina that have a free market orientation. You'll hear empty secession talks from places like California from time to time when their ability to steal from the rest of us is temporarily interrupted. Shortly thereafter, you'll hear those same politicians practically begging the capitalists to stay and keep propping up their bankrupt ideology. When they are in a particularly nasty mood, they may even try to force capitalists to stay under the threat of jail time. That's how desperate they are to keep us around, to keep us paying their bills. You see, the only way that socialists can prop up their economies is with other people's money. With those other people being, drum roll please, capitalists. Now, there are plenty of rich socialists. For now, we'll just skip over the fact that being a rich socialist is impossible for anyone with an ounce of integrity. But for now, get ready for a shock. Those socialists are no more interested in turning their money over to the state than their rich capitalist cohorts. Because, and this is actually their reasoning, for them to do that would be immoral. Yeah, you heard that right. The only moral way to fund any society is through the initiation of violence against your fellow citizens and the confiscation of their rightfully owned property. These folks do have an amazing talent for justifying keeping all their stuff while simultaneously putting their hand in your pocket. Not that it makes any logical sense at all, but logic is not their strong point. If socialists had any integrity at all, funding a socialist economy would be no problem, at least for a while. If every individual along the socialist spectrum really believed, instead of just saying, that we needed to give back to society, well, there would be an absolute gusher of funding for every conceivable socialist pet project out there. At least until the money ran out, and it was time for another game of yoke the capitalist. But even the fools in the People's Republic of California are no match for the current champion of golden goose killing, China's Xi Jinping. Now, Xi was handed on a silver plate an economy that was humming along due to predecessors like Deng Xiaoping, who opened China's economy and its people to the wonders of free trade and free societies. Xi is right now furiously trying to stuff that genie back into the bottle for one reason and one reason only, so he can stay in power. The idea that he is doing this for any reason other than that would be comical if its inevitable result was not the annihilation of China as a thriving society. And this is the way it always is with forced equality ideologies. Since they can't beat you without resorting to violence, they try to make it seem like they are using violence for the greater good. And this is actually true in one way. The good of the socialist overlords is always much greater. It is the good of humanity that suffers every single time.